Hey guys, I'm cmasupra and welcome to another Company of Heroes 2 multiplayer video. Now most of you watching this video will remember my T70 rush video, not my broom bar rush, which was my previous video, but my T70 rush video. And I know a lot of you said that you couldn't handle doing the T70 rush because the time between going from Tier 0, while you're conscripts and engineers, to Tier 3 is too long of a time and you can't build any units while you're doing that if you're going to rush for a T70, and as a result you end up losing map control because you can't win the battles. Well, I agree with you. You really cannot maintain map control when you're not building units like that and you're just rushing between tiers because you're building tier 2 and then tier 3, and then you're building a T70 as your next unit, which is, it takes quite a while to do those steps. Or you're building tier 1 and tier 2, not tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 and tier 3, or tier 2 and tier 3. Either way, it takes a while to do that. So I fully agree with you. You cannot maintain map control, you cannot win the big engagements and such, but what you can do is make your opponent scared to move up on you, and even if he does move up on you and you don't really scare him, you can still rush to a T70 pretty easily because it's not cheap, but it's not too expensive either in Company of Heroes 2 terms. So anyways, as you can see, I'm playing as the Russians, and that is why I was talking about my T70 Rush video, because this is going to be kind of related. My opponent is the Germans, and we are playing on Longriskaya Winter version. My first two units out have been two conscript squads and an engineer squad, which was already there. A conscript squad is found contact in the form of a grenadier squad, but that is fine. I'm not going to really talk about that. So I was talking about the T70 rush video, and in this video, what I want to show you guys is me failing in the early game. I didn't do too well in the early game against my opponent, but what I did do is I used my early game advantage, which I did fail in the early game, but I still had an advantage. I used it to rush to a T34, which is more expensive than a T70, so it was still quite a successful doing. And this is not the only game this has happened to me where I've tried to rush to a T70 and failed. It's just, you can still fail in the early game, and you can still rush to a T70 successfully. That's what I want to show you guys, even though I'm not rushing to a T70, and instead I'm rushing to a T34, and I believe I still ended up buying Molotovs in this game, which is something you should never do when you're rushing to a T70, because initially I was not planning on rushing to a T70 or a T34. My opponent's MGs made me do it. So anyways, now that I've explained that, I can go ahead and start talking about the game. So in the middle here, we have an engagement between two conscript squads and a grenadier squad and an MG. And I was able to oorah into the MG, make it hard on him to suppress me, but sadly one of my guys got suppressed, and now they're not unsuppressing. So I told him to throw a Molotov and then retreat, but sadly they do get the Molotov off, but then they die. So I just lost an entire conscript squad. That is a huge blow in the early game. I'm now a full squad down, and the MG just moves out of the Molotov and is good to go. Luckily for me, though, I have another conscript squad on the right here, and I was able to oorah behind the MG as well as use my other squad to get past the MG, but then another MG shows up, so my opponent now has two MGs and a grenadier squad, so I have to retreat one of my conscript squads. One of them is dead, and I currently have one on the field along with a 3-man engineer squad. You know what would be really nice is to kill this MG right now, because I'm down a squad, and if he can be down a squad too, that would be really, really nice, wouldn't it? Sadly, it doesn't happen, and there's no way I'm chasing him into the base because his base MG will simply pen me, and I will have taken damage for no good reason. Now I'm going over to the right here. What I wanted to do was go over to the left, but I had a feeling that the 1 MG that my opponent still had on the field was going to shoot me if I went left, so I just decided to go right, and by luck, or by chance, my opponent went over here to the right as well, and thus he and I can fight it out, but I am most likely going to win because his squad is at half health and mine is only down 1 man, still has, I don't know, what would that be, 3/4 of the health, 2/3 of the health, something like that. On the left side, my 3-man engineer squad did fight one single, ooh, rifle grenade. Do I dodge it? Do I dodge it? I do dodge it. But as I was saying, my engineer squad fought one single pioneer squad, and it only lost 1 man. I was pretty lucky there. So now they're going and capturing points on the left side, and if you look at the mini-map, I have taken map control, despite losing every single battle that's gone on in this game so far, except the one on the right side that I just won against the Grenadier squad, and the one on the left side against the Pioneer squad. Despite losing every other battle in the early game so far, I still have more map control than my opponent, simply because he has not tried to take map control with his MGs. That's the downside to getting MGs as the Germans. The advantage is you can pin the conscript squads quite well, but you don't get much map control out of that. Unless you use your MGs to capture points, which is something a lot of Germans do when they can. But anyways, I have taken map control. I've lost in the manpower war, but I have taken map control. Don't forget I did lose a full conscript squad, so I am down a squad. Definitely losing in the manpower war, that is for sure. But that is okay, because what I need is fuel, not manpower. Manpower will always be a steady income. It's never going to really change other than upkeep, but upkeep's not too big of a deal. You still have a manpower income. But what I need is map control. Am I going to kill this MG? Oh, it's another close retreat, but nope, I'm not going to kill it because his other MG saves him. Ooh, that is lucky. So, yeah, like I said, I'm losing the manpower war, but I'm winning the map control war, and I'm getting the fuel that I need. That's what I need. I need fuel. As you can see, I have 134 fuel and plus 36 per minute, so I'm definitely getting the fuel I need. My opponent has all of 4 points on the map plus a victory point, so he's not getting nearly the income I am getting. I also have both fuel points on the left and right, so that is really, really awesome. Even though I went Molotovs, I'm still going to be able to rush to a T-70, which was my goal. My goal is always a T-70, by the way. It's never a T-34 when I'm trying to tech up. If I can afford a T-34 by the time I build Tier 3 and finish building it, then so be it. I'll buy a T-34 over a T-70. But if I am ever in a need for a tank and I'm trying to rush to it, I always plan on the T-70 and plan on having a very weak, light tank that can't really take on other tanks. In this game, though, I did manage to get a T-34, like you already knew, because I mentioned it a few times. So I've already gone ahead and built Tier 2, and now I'm building Tier 3. You will note that I lost a full conscript squad. I think I lost 2 of them, actually, because I'm down to 2 now. I think I had 3. So I've apparently lost 2 conscript squads, and as a result, I am losing the manpower war by far. My opponent is also taking map control back. You can see he has a little over half the map now. He has taken both fuel points. So this is not going well for me. There is a lull right here. I cannot counter his map control taking. But it doesn't matter, because even though I lost in the early game in manpower, I got the map control I needed. And that is the important thing right there, is just to get map control. So I have the map control. I was able to get enough fuel for me to build Tier 3 and then eventually build a T-70 once I get the manpower and fuel for it. Although I believe I have the fuel for it. I believe it's only 85. As long as I've been playing this game, I still don't know the unit costs. I don't have them memorized quite yet. I have an idea of all their costs. I don't have them perfected. But anyways, it doesn't really matter that I am not really able to deal with him right now. I'm not winning any big engagements. You saw me chase off one of his squads there. I don't know what kind of squad it was, but it was one of his squads, and that was easy to do since I had 2 conscript squads. He had 1 squad. I was guaranteed to win that anyway, so smart retreat by him. But it doesn't matter that I'm not winning the big engagements as long as I'm winning the small engagements here. If your opponent is clumping up at this point in the game and like pushing your cutoff or something like that, just ignore him. Don't go after the big clump of enemies because he has a bigger force than you do. You're trying to tech up right now. He's not teching up. He's trying to just gain map control after he lost so much map control in the very early game. So ignore his clump, ignore his blob, and go around him. Go to other spots on the map. It's just simple as that. So there is definitely a lull right now, but it's totally manageable. So here we can see an armored car, and the T-70 is building, not T-70, T-34 is building. It's finally finished now. But we have an armored car in the field, and as a result, I decided to buy 80 grenades, so I can deal with the armored car easier. If he decides to get close to any of my conscript squads, he will be dead. And by the way, that conscript, not the conscript squad, the armored car, scout car, is going to do quite an awesome thing in this game pretty soon here. It's going to be pretty funny and awesome. But anyways, T-34 is on the field, and I find a half-track just by chance. I move up here and I find a half-track just by chance, like I said. And so I go and kill it easily, 3 shots and it's dead. My T-34 gets Panzerfausted, but I don't really care. It's right next to my base. I can easily back up, and he's not going to go chasing me with some Panzer IV or something. He just checked a tier 2, so I'm not really worried about getting Panzerfausted. I can sit here and shoot at his MG. That will be great. It is a Vet 2 MG, so killing it would be absolutely awesome. So I'm going to kind of chase it here. Yes, I got in a little bit closer. It wasn't really chasing, but I got in a little bit closer and killed it. So that is a huge blow to my opponent. A Vet 2 MG just died. And now we have a scout car coming for me, and this is what he does that's amazing. So he's circling me. He's being smart and circling me, and I did not know a scout car could do this. The circling is not the amazing part. Look at my T-34's health as he circles me. Just watch the health bar. Watch what happens to it as he circles me. Ignore the fact that I cannot shoot at this guy because he's circling me. Look at my health bar. It's going down. The armored car is going to beat a T-34. This is crazy. That's the best way to sum it up. This is just crazy, but luckily for me, I managed to kill it before he kills my T-34. My 2 conscript squads and engineer squad were able to kill it, so that was good. I think the T-34 also fired on it, but it's not the one that killed it, I don't believe. So anyways, that was a pretty amazing scout car, armored car. I keep calling it an armored car. It's a scout car, but to me it's an armored car because it looks like the Panzer Elite armored car. So I typed to him, I did not know a scout car can do that. Yeah, apparently it can, as you guys have seen. So anyways, to summarize a little bit of what's happened so far, I won the early game in terms of map control, but I lost in terms of manpower and units. I lost 2 full conscript squads apparently, so that was a pretty bad loss in the early game. I did lose complete map control. As you can see, I have all of 3 points right now. It's not very much. So I am not winning right now. Building the T-34 has cost me map control, but it really doesn't matter to me, because the T-34 is going to deal with anything he brings out in the near future. Even if I had a T-70, I still wouldn't really be worried, since the T-70 is so fast, it can outrun a Panzer IV. And I also have AT grenades, so if the Panzer IV decides to chase my T-70, then I can just use AT grenades on it, slow it down, and my T-70 will be running away. And I'll build an AT gun to deal with the Panzer IV. But in this case, I have a T-34, and I am really not worried at all about losing so much map control right now. I'm able to just use my T-34 to take back my map control because he really doesn't have much of a counter to it. He has Panzerfaust, but those don't really do much damage. They just give you a damaged engine. They're only really dangerous if you're way in enemy territory or he has like a pack or something shooting at it from close by. Because then the damage engine is quite the problem. So I do have a mortar on the field, and you just saw it kill at least 1 MG member, so he's retreating now out of the house. I had a mortar and a T-34 shooting at it in the house, so it's smart to get out of the house, but then the mortar was just a way for me to have an advantage over his MGs other than the T-34, because at some point I do expect a counter to the T-34. So I figured a mortar would be a good supplement to kill the MGs with. By the way, I did kill that MG squad that ran away out of that house. I killed it with the T-34. I was so happy when I did that, and I even stole it from him, so my MG now. You are not going to get to use this MG ever again in this game. It appears I found a Pioneer squad with the T-34. That Pioneer squad is... it was laying a mine, so you know what's around that point, and then near that cutoff around the house. There's going to be a whole bunch of mines, anti-personnel mines, although apparently, which I was very glad about, there was not a whole bunch of mines there. I was expecting anti-personnel mines. He may have been trying to plant an AT mine, anti-tank mine, but he didn't get it off since I shot at him. But here's an AT mine, and it does quite the number on my T-34. This is the first time I've ever seen a T-34 run over an AT mine, and I had no idea it did so much damage, but it does, apparently. So, Panzerfaust, and it has a dead gun now. At least it can still move, so I'm trying to back it out of there. But then it dies. Is that actually a Panzerfaust, or was that a Panzer IV? That might have been a Panzer IV. I have no idea what just killed my T-34 now. I see a vehicle on the minimap, though. So I think it's a Panzer IV. So apparently a Panzer IV is out on the field. I have no idea if I knew it at this time. I know it now since it's right on screen. So Panzer IV would kill my T-34 after running over that mine, but I have AT grenades and he doesn't realize it. So bye-bye Panzer IV engine, you are now more or less stuck there. Although it's only a damage engine, not a destroyed engine. So he's still going to be there, but might as well AT grenade it. So it's slowed and then he has to repair it with something. I actually throw 2 AT grenades on the Panzer IV, by the way, since I figured I would want to do as much damage as possible, and there's really no reason not to throw AT grenades when you can, since they give free experience to the squad for doing damage, and then you get more veterancy quicker. So it's always worth doing, in my opinion. I'm trying to save that mortar by sending it over to the rightmost fuel point, with the side benefit of actually capturing the fuel point. So that's what I'm doing over there, since they were freezing. Now they're warming up, as you can see at the top right on the mortar icon. Over here, I have found, I found it earlier, I think. I found a fuel OP on this point right here, which is not something I want, because I do want to be able to capture this point and cut off my opponent whenever I want to. But, yeah, like I said, it's not something I want, and as a result, I came over here to try and finish it off. I think I hurt it severely with my T-34. Might be entirely wrong about that, I don't know. Maybe I just found it now with the flamethrower squad, who knows. But I wanted to kill it, and sadly I didn't. I had to retreat before it died. I have freezing conscripts, and I am retreating them. I wish retreating would make them stop freezing, because you can lose men on a retreat because of freezing, and you might retreat a squad because you see they're freezing and there's no fire pit nearby. So you just retreat them, and then they die while retreating. I always hate that. I need to stop doing that, because retreating does not make them stop freezing, but I wish it would. I mean, you're running really, really fast. Shouldn't you be sweating? Or really not sweating, but heating up. Sweating in the snow. I actually do sweat in the snow, by the way. I think everybody does. If you're doing exercise in the snow, I think you do still sweat. Very weird like that. Anyways, I have an AT gun because I saw the Panzer IV and I needed some counter to it, and I don't have my T-34 anymore. And lucky for me, he goes right next to my conscript squad, so I throw an AT grenade, reface the AT gun, tell the conscript squad to Molotov the MG. Very slow animation, but there it goes, and he's retreating it, and it's decrewed! I don't care if you retreated, you're decrewed anyways, so that is awesome. One vet 2 conscript squad, wow, that is quite surprising. Panzer IV is backing away from my AT gun, but it's not going to save him, he's too slow thanks to my AT grenades. So, hooray for that, out of control, there it goes, it is dead, essentially. So Panzer IV down, Panzer IV traded for a T-34 basically. I don't know who wins that battle. I believe they're the same cost. I believe I looked at that in one of my replay videos, not my live gameplay videos, and it turns out to be the same cost. I might be totally wrong here. I need to learn the unit cost so badly. But I don't know who won that, but it was a trade-off, and I was okay with it, because I really didn't know who won, and I figured it was about equal. So I am now doing a bit of a charge with all my units, not all my units, but a good portion of them. 2 conscript squads and an engineer squad, and I do have them all separated. And the reason for that is I wanted to capture different points, but luckily for me, because I had them separated, they didn't all get pinned by this MG at once, so I was able to capture points while still just being in front of the MG, which was nice. I didn't really feel like trying to flank it, since that would have been a difficult flank to pull off. Over here, we have a Grenadier squad trying to capture this victory point. He's trying to triple cap me in victory points. I was actually very lucky that he didn't triple cap me right here. I didn't even know I was this lucky. I thought he had captured it, but apparently not. It is so close to being captured. If I had known it was that close, I would have oorah'd into there, but it didn't oorah into there, because I didn't realize it was that close. But I'm trying to throw Molotovs to kill the squad, and it's not really working out well. Anyways, another conscript squad on the field. That makes it 5 conscript squads, and then a whole bunch of other things that only have 1 squad each. But I do have another T-34, and let me finish talking about the conscripts. I have 5 conscript squads so far. You're going to see even more this game. This game was won by conscripts, AT guns, and T-34s. game was won by those 3 units combined. I mean, I needed nothing else to win this game. I did build some other things, but I didn't really need them, particularly in the second half of the game, I guess. So another T-34 is out on the field, and we have an armored car sitting over there next to this fuel point. I have no idea why he sent it there. It was probably a misclick. He probably meant to click on some other unit to go over there and capture the point. But he didn't, and as a result, I am able to just go over to his armored car and kill it. And it's also an upgraded armored car, I believe. Yeah, it looks like it is, so I know he's trying to circle me here, but he's not going to get to do it. He's in deep snow, and I can back up, and I know exactly what he's doing. My turret can shoot at him, my gun can shoot at him, my turret can face him. He's Vet 2, but it's not going to help him. He is dead. I am getting shot at by this Panzer IV, however. And I know I have an AT gun, so I try to bring my AT gun up to protect my T-34, but it is too far away. My T-34 is 1 hit away from death, and can you guess what's going to happen here? It's not on screen, but you're going to see what's going to happen here. Keep backing up, T-34. There it goes, and my AT gun is totally out of range right now. So, AT grenade on the Panzer IV. I was trying to save my T-34 using an AT gun and the AT grenade, but the AT grenade was too late, the AT gun was too far away. Second T-34 dead at the cost of an armored car from my opponent, which is clearly a loss for me. I know the armored car is 80 manpower and 25 fuel, or 20 fuel, so the armored car is much cheaper than the T-34. But, luckily for me, I have an AT gun. It is now in range, and I can shoot at it. I used another AT grenade. The AT gun's just out of range now, so I decided to move it up. I know where the Panzer IV is going to come around the left side of this house. I'm trying to kill the Panzer IV so desperately, but we'll see what happens. I actually don't remember if I kill the Panzer IV or not. So I try to move my AT gun up where it can shoot at the house, or not at the house, around the house to the left of it. Move my conscript squad forward, spot the Panzer IV. It's 1 hit away from death. And it is in the fog of war, and I cannot chase it with the conscript squad because they're so low on health. So Panzer IV got away with 1 hit away from death. Luckily my AT gun is Vet 2, but that does not satisfy me. I want to kill the Panzer IV. Anyways, mortars moved up, so that is good. Conscript squad here, Vet 2. I actually have 3 Vet 2 conscript squads. By the way, you're going to see a whole bunch of vet in this game. The veterancy was just crazy. I've never seen so much vet in Company of Heroes 2. I have in Company of Heroes 1, very rarely, but I have in Company of Heroes 1, not in Company of Heroes 2, though. Anyways, I'm back over here to this fuel thing. I throw a Molotov, shoot at it, and then I'm going to retreat and get out of there. I have picked a doctrine, by the way. I picked the, I don't know what it is, but it gives me Pepeshkas, it gives me conscript repair, and it gives me incendiary barrage. Those are the 3 abilities I really care about. I don't really care about the other 2, hit the dirt, and something that replaces lost squads. I don't have a clue what it's called. But I have picked a doctrine. I used the incendiary barrage on the MG, but I retreated anyways because the squad was so low on health, and I didn't want to lose the entire squad. And yeah, I picked the doctrine just because I wanted the incendiary barrage and because I wanted conscript repair, because apparently I was going to be building a lot of tanks and I didn't want too many engineers, so conscript repair was a decent reason to go with this one, because I actually have 2 doctrines that I have picked that have the incendiary barrage, and I wanted this one because of the conscript repair, as opposed to the other one, which gives me some other things. I don't know what they are. Mortar has moved up, like I already said, and I can use it to barrage the MG, so that is good. Over here on the left side, we have 2 grenadiers attacking an engineer squad, and watch what happens. This is pretty funny. I find this to be pretty funny. Just watch how good my engineer squad does at killing these grenadiers, and then watch what happens to the engineer squad. Just kaboom. They just go boom. So they killed 2 or 3 men on the grenadier squad, which is better than I expected against 2 grenadier squads, and then they just go kaboom. If I was smart, I wouldn't have stuck around, but I just wanted to see how long I could survive. I wasn't too worried about the engineer squad, since I don't really need an engineer squad right now. All I need is conscripts, because an engineer squad would give me repairing, and I don't need to build anything, so they wouldn't really serve me much purpose. That airstrike was very close to killing that squad. I am so glad I hit the retreat button when I saw the smoke. I'm so glad I even saw the smoke because it wasn't on my screen when it came down at first. But so glad I got out of there with my conscript squad. It was a Vet 2 or Vet 1 squad as well. It was vetted, so you always want to keep a squad alive. Especially if it's vetted. So most of the battling seems to be going on in the middle of the map right now. Trying to think of the word there. Yeah. Most of the battling's going on in the middle of the map, and that's really where you see most of the action in this game. But it's going to be most of the action for most of this game, right here in the middle of the map. But every once in a while, I will go over to the left side like I'm doing now, and I will harass him on the left side, make him remember like, hey, you still have points over here on the left side, buddy. You should probably do something to defend them. And then once he remembers he has to defend them, then I do a big push on the middle, and I win because he is busy defending the left side from something that's no longer there. That's always fun to do. Make him defend something that doesn't need any defending, and make him leave the place that does need defending. Even if he only moves one squad, he's still moving away from it, reducing his forces there. As you can see, I'm having quite the issue with freezing right now. There's just no fire pits in the middle of the map. That MG is walking through fire, but it doesn't make a difference. Apparently that fire does not provide heat like the rest of the fire does. Panzer IV shows up. This is actually a big deal. Panzer IV shows up, but luckily for me, I have 2 AT guns, one of which is Vet 3. Wow, a Vet 3 AT gun. And I also have a T-34 somewhere on the map, so that Panzer IV does not stand much of a chance. He quickly backs away. I'm in range to throw an AT grenade, but unluckily for me, it's recharging. I threw an AT grenade on an armored car or something else. So the AT grenade ability was recharging, and by the time I was able to throw the AT grenade, because it was recharged, I was out of range to throw it. And as a result, I didn't actually kill the Panzer IV. So that sucked. Apparently I just lost a full squad. I don't know what it was, but okay. So a Vet 3 AT gun. That really needs to be reinforced, doesn't it? Look at the top right corner of the screen. He said a Vet 3 AT gun. There we go. I am backing it up and reinforcing it and healing it. Perfect. I did not know I did that. Something I wish that they would put back in Company of Heroes 2 is something they put in Company of Heroes 1 in one of the updates. They have a separate health bar. They have 2 health bars on the AT gun. There's one for the crew health and one for the AT gun health. I really wish they'd bring that back, because that was so good. I was so happy when they added that to Company of Heroes 1, because I could never tell what was really damaged in Company of Heroes 1, because I just never really learned the health bar on the AT gun. But I really wish they would bring that back in Company of Heroes 2, because right now it's only the crew health, it's not the gun health. The gun could be one hit away from death and you wouldn't know it. I really wish they'd bring back the double health bars on the AT guns. They could do it on mortars and MGs as well, but it's not really a big deal on those. I just wish they'd bring it back. I just wish they would bring it back on AT guns. I know a lot of you will agree with me on that if you played Company of Heroes 1. So, what's going on in the game right now? There's not really much going on. There's an incendiary barrage in the middle where all of his units are. Sadly though, the barrage kind of missed. I wasn't expecting his units to be where they were. Actually, it appears that they are in the flames. Perfect, they're on the edge of the flames. So is he going to lose his full Grenadier squad? He does! Ooh, so now he's losing squads. I've lost quite a few squads this game myself because I can't handle the multitasking he's putting on me. He's putting so many fronts on me. I have to handle stuff on the left, on the right, back at base, and in the middle all at the same time, as well as building stuff. So there's a ton of multitasking going on, and he is out multitasking me, but luckily for me, he's not retreating in time. He is not bringing the right units to do the right jobs, and as a result, I am killing full squads of his, even though he's killing full squads of mine. So, we're trading squads, basically. Vet 3 AT gun, fully healed, so that is good. I have no idea if I repaired it, but it is fully healed. The crew is fully healed. I still have 2 AT guns, and this Panzer IV has a damaged engine, apparently. So that's good. Vet 3 AT gun, I still like that so much. How often do you see a Vet 3 AT gun by me? I mean, I suck with AT guns, so seeing a Vet 3 AT gun makes me happy. Anyways, the Panzer IV, he knew he didn't have a chance. He was fighting my T-34, and he would have won against the T-34, I believe. But he knew I had AT guns, at least a 1 AT gun, so he didn't want to go charging in blind, especially with a damage engine. That is the worst thing you can do with a damage engine, go charging in blind. Because then you don't even know, like, is there something that's going to kill my Panzer IV? If there is, then I cannot get away from it because my engine is damaged. So, yeah. He is trying to attack me right now, but he's not doing a great job at it. He has one Grenadier squad at the front lines. His Panzer IV is sitting in the back. Does he really think my AT guns are that far forward? Actually, they probably should be. No, they shouldn't be. The way he's attacked me so far, like with his Grenadiers and such, is making me leave my AT guns further back in the line, and also because I kind of suck with AT guns, that MG just burned to death. No, it didn't. Never mind. One guy burned to death, though. But yeah, the way I suck with AT guns and the fact that he's attacking me with Grenadiers and not tanks is making me leave my AT guns at the back of my line. And as a result, they're not up forward where they can kill the Panzer IV if it comes charging in only a little bit. If it comes charging in all the way, I can easily deal with them, but it's most likely not going to, because he's afraid of my AT guns, and my AT guns are afraid of his Grenadiers, and his Grenadiers are afraid of nothing. He's just charging them in. His Panzer Grenadiers as well. But anyways, mortar shell lands on the tank. It just creates a puff of smoke. I always like that effect. I find it pretty funny, because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if a mortar shell lands on a tank, it's not going to create a puff of smoke. It's going to create a dent in the tank. But it doesn't. Instead, it creates a puff of smoke. Panzer IV over here on the right side. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so this is a huge attack coming on right now. He has 3 Panzer IVs over there. I actually moved the conscript squad over to the right side because I heard the Panzer IVs in the fog of war. And so here you can see me refacing all 3 of my AT guns. I now have 3, yes, 3, because I had a feeling he was going to be building more tanks. So I bought another AT gun for 3 AT guns. And so I heard him, and then I saw all 3 Panzer IVs over on the right side, so I refaced all my AT guns. And let's watch this big battle unfold. This was a big battle. His 3 Panzer IVs versus my 3 AT guns, plus AT grenades on the conscripts and a T-34. I know it sounds like I have more, but I really don't have much more. He has veterancy on his Panzer IVs. Or one of his Panzer IVs has veterancy. So he is actually trying to stay out of the cone of firing, my firing cone of my AT guns. He's doing a good job with that, but I have to reface my AT guns. It is making it hard on me. Refacing your AT guns is not the easiest thing. I mean, yes, you right-click and drag, but it's still not the easiest thing to do because you don't really know which direction to face. When I reface my AT gun, where is the opponent going to be by the time they're done refacing so they can shoot, stuff like that. So you got to figure all that out. Luckily, this Panzer IV made it very obvious. This one at the bottom of the map. Is he going to lose the Panzer IV? He very well might. Yep, there he goes. Big explosion. Big explosion. Not explosion, but explosion, apparently. So, yeah, 1 Panzer IV down. I believe that is all 3 Panzer IVs down. I did lose my T-34, but I kept all 3 AT guns. Nope. I just lost one of my AT guns, and it was the Vet 3 one. No! I just lost a Vet 3 AT gun. Luckily, I still have 2 of them, and they're both Vet 2, but I would have liked to keep that Vet 3 AT gun. That would have been quite nice. But I didn't. Rifle grenade on my MG squad. Oh yeah, I got Papeshkas, by the way. I buy Papeshkas on not all my conscript squads this game, but a lot of them. And so, actually, before I talk about that, mortar half-track getting AT grenaded, and it's dead. Oh yeah, that's always satisfying. To kill a mortar half-track is so satisfying because it costs 40 fuel, which is not cheap. So anyways, as I was saying, I buy Papeshkas on most of my conscript squads when I can afford it. Right now I can't really afford it. I'm down to 20 munitions, so I don't really have very much, and I need those munitions for AT grenades. But I do buy Papeshkas on a lot of my conscript squads this game, simply because conscript squads are better at close range than they are at long range against grenadiers. And the Papeshkas make them even better at close range. So I always tend to buy them when I can. They're only 20 munitions, which is not bad. So I find them worth buying. They just do so much more damage. I can even go toe-to-toe with Panzer Grenadiers, which cost 50% more manpower, 240 versus 360. So the fact that they can go toe-to-toe with Panzer Grenadiers at close range for 20 munitions is a pretty good deal. So I consider it worth getting the Pepeshkas whenever I can. By the way, somebody told me I pronounced Pepeshkas wrong. I very well might. I don't know if I do. For some reason, like when I was playing Call of Duty 1, the gun was called the PPSH, and I wanted to know what it stood for, so I looked it up and I found it stood for Pepeshka. However, I looked it up recently again because he told me I was wrong, and I couldn't really figure out what it stood for. It stood for a whole bunch of things or something like that. I don't remember. So I don't know if I pronounce it wrong or not, is where I was going with that. But I pronounce it how I pronounce it. I don't like the name PPSHs. So, over here on the left munitions point, while I was explaining the Pepeshka thing, you will have noticed that my Pepeshka squad was facing off against his Panzer Grenadier squad. We were losing men at exactly the same rate. It was kind of crazy, and so I ended up retreating. I didn't want to risk losing that fight. I really could have risked it, but I didn't want to since I do have veterancy and I don't want to lose a full squad. That grenade did a lot of damage. I wish I would have dodged that grenade, but I don't think I could have. I was in deep snow, I think. So yeah. Anyways, on the left side, over where my opponent is capturing one of my points, I have an MG going there. I actually captured 2 MG42s. He lost 2 MG42s. I captured 2 MG42s, and I'm using one of them, which is Vet 2, by the way, to pin one of his squads that's capturing a point. If he's going to be forced to retreat, and then I can use the MG squad to capture points, and then eventually protect the leftmost fuel point. Because this whole game, as you have seen, he has been taking back that fuel point every time I tried to take it, so I figured an MG would be a good unit to go defend the leftmost fuel point with. Over here on the right side, you can see that my opponent is going back to that strategic point, back into my lines. What he's trying to do here is bait me away from his front line so he can move up forward without the threat of this one conscript squad. But in the end, it's not really going to help him, because I have such a force right now. I mean, look at the top right corner of the screen. I have so many units. It's not going to help him. He just lost 3 Panzer IVs. He just lost a ton of resources, and he's not going to be making those up very soon compared to my army. So I have a bigger army than he does. He can lure me back into my lines all he wants, but it's not really going to help him. So I just thought I'd point that out because he's making a mistake, and he even loses a squad to a Vet 2 Pepeshka squad. Pepeshkas are so awesome. So it looks like I have most of the map. I don't have him as cornered as I had him at one point in the very early game, but I do have him pretty cornered. I do have 2 victory points. He has 1, so his are counting down. My victory points are actually lower than he is. No, lower than his right now. I'm at 134. He's at 189. That is quite surprising. Despite how much I have been beating him in the manpower war, he's been winning in the map control war and winning by BPs. So just like in the early game where I lost the manpower war but won the whatchamacallit, I won the map control war, he is doing the exact same thing right now. He's losing the manpower war, but he's winning the map control war. So there is that. Luckily for me though, I am dealing with his map control thing, and I'm preventing him from using it effectively. And he's getting pushed back into his base, essentially. My mortar's doing quite a bit. It's already Vet 2. That is nice. Second T-34 on the field. Not the second one I built, but the second one I have right now. 3 AT guns still. 2 of them are Vet 2. 1 of them is Vet 0. 2 MG42s. No Maxim MGs, but 2 MG42s because he lost them both. Those actually helped me quite a bit this game. Some of his infantry rushes that he did, I would not have been able to handle without the MG42 that I had at first. So I am so glad he decided to give those to me. What a nice guy. If you look up at the top right corner of the screen, you can see all those stars. You see those stars? Those are Veteran C, as if you didn't already know that. And I have a Vet 3 conscript squad. That is awesome. It does have Pepeshkas on it, by the way, which makes it very, very strong. If a Vet 3 Pepeshka conscript squad gets close in on you, your squad is going to die. It's just that simple. Vet 3 conscripts are good, and then you add Pepeshkas to them, and they become great. Look at this MG42 trying to set up. What are you doing, noob? You don't set up an MG42, and he quickly realizes his mistake, and he is too late. It might have been a bug, though. There is a bug where as soon as you leave a house, your MG42 will set itself up. The way you avoid that bug is you don't tell your MG42 to get out of the house. Instead, what you do is you left-click on the MG42 in the house and make sure the MG42 is selected, not the house, and you right-click somewhere on the map. They will leave the house, go to that spot on the map, and they won't set up while going there. So that's a good way to avoid that bug. And then you don't actually have to wait for them to go to that point. You can just tell them to retreat immediately, and as soon as they get out of the house, and they'll be good to go. So always avoid that bug by right-clicking somewhere outside the house with your MG42 squad selected. I almost lost that Vet 3 conscript squad over on the leftmost not victory point, munitions point. I almost lost the Vet 3 conscript squad over there. That would not have been good, but I'm glad I survived. AT grenade on the Panzer IV. AT grenades actually appear to have splash damage. I have actually killed my own conscript squad using an AT grenade on a Panzer IV before. It was crazy. I was amazed that I actually did that, but apparently they have splash damage, so be wary of that if you're ever using an AT grenade. I think I just damaged myself on that AT grenade on that Panzer IV right there, so that's why I thought of it. Still have two T-34s because he hasn't rushed me. MG42 sitting in the middle victory point. He's a little bit outside of it though, so he's not capturing it, which I think is what he wanted to do. So unlucky for him. I don't know why he sent a single MG42 there. He keeps sending an individual squad into my whole force. I don't know why he keeps doing it, but he does, and it's not very smart, and it's not working out for him. You should never send a single squad against a whole force. Instead, what you should do is go around the force. In this case, going around the force would mean going over to the left side of the map because I'm in the middle and the right side. But he's not going to really be doing that. He focused so hard on the middle of the map in this game, which is kind of understandable. I know even I myself tend to do that sometimes. I'll just get focused on attacking one part of the map, and then I won't realize that I've just lost the rest of the map. So yeah, I don't really blame him. It's common at this level. Even I do it sometimes, although not very often. I still do it sometimes. Look at my veterancy at the top of the screen. Wow. 3 Vet 3 conscript squads. And then there's a whole bunch of other Vet 2 squads and a Vet 1 squad. I wish I still had the Vet 3 AT gun. I so wish I had that. I didn't even realize I lost it in this game, but I apparently did. I wish I had it, just for prestigious purposes. Even if it didn't get to fire another single shot the whole game, I would have liked to have it. Anyways, unrelated, I have Vet 3 squads in the form of conscripts right now, and that is awesome enough. T-34 has engine damage, but I really don't care. He can Panzerfaust me all he wants. He can try to get veterancy like that all he wants. I really don't care because I'm still going to be winning against this guy. I was really confident at this point. I really didn't care about things like Panzerfausting me. I let my T-34s just sit there and be Panzerfausted without the least bit of care in the world. And then I would just repair them because I have so many conscript squads. I currently have 6 squads. And I do have the conscript repair ability that I can just easily repair my T-34 without any cost to me. And it doesn't even cost me time, really, because I do have a lot of squads just sitting there doing nothing, because they really can't do anything. I can't go charging my opponent right now because he would win, for sure. Actually, not for sure, but I think he would win at this point, because if I were charging in, he does have AT guns, as far as I know, and he does have a Panzer IV. I have no idea what his infantry situation is. I know it's not great, but I don't know what it is, so I didn't want to risk going and charging in. So I just let squads sit there in the middle of the map doing nothing. So repairing a T-34 would not be a big deal. It would give my squad something to do. So, looking at the minimap, it looks like I have most of the map. Not most of the, well, yeah, most of the map. I do have more than 50%. I have at least 51%. And I'm pushing up further still. Hello, half-track. It's time for you to die. AT grenade incoming. And there it goes. Half your health is just gone. When did AT grenade start doing that much damage? I was amazed at how much damage that AT grenade did, because I do not remember them doing that much damage. I believe they've increased the damage then. But half its health gone to an AT grenade, that's just awesome. I know he doesn't have much of a force at this point. You can see in chat he says, "You've gotten so many one-shots on me from the T-34s." And I actually asked him, I have, because I don't know what he's talking about with the one-shots. I have not one-shot any single squad. It's always been multiple shots. But he probably means like just individual men. But I don't really know what he means. It's out of hand. So many one-shots. Taking a drink of water. I think I need more, actually. The enemy has 75 points remaining. So at this point in the game, my opponent has given up. You can see he and I are just chatting right now. And pretty soon here, I'm going to go and capture the leftmost victory point out from under him, because he doesn't have much of a force defending it. I really could advance on him right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 conscript squads, 3 AT guns, 2 T-34s, 2 MGs, and a mortar. That was totally out of order. I know if you're counting up at the top right, you could not follow along. But I have such a huge force right now that look at my pop cap. 96 out of 100. I'm 4 pop cap away from maxing out. So yeah, I have a huge force right now. I could totally charge my opponent at this point. I know he has a very, very small force. Even if he has AT guns, my T-34s should still survive, so I would just have to move my AT guns up before anything else since they move so slowly. But then I could attack him and he would lose, basically. But he's already lost, so still not worth the risk of attacking him. Attacking is always a risk, but it's usually worth taking. This is one of the few cases where it's actually not worth taking. So, as you can see, we're chatting. Like I said, my opponent has given up at this point. He knows he doesn't have a chance of winning. If you look at the minimap, I have a squad going over where the MG42 is set up, protecting the fuel point over there. And that squad, not the MG42, but the other squad, which is a conscript squad, is going to go capture that victory point. That was a pretty lucky mortar round. Unlucky for me. I'm amazed the squad survived that. That was pretty much a direct hit by a mortar shell. Did I send a Vet 3 conscript squad over here? I sure did, to go attack that fuel point. Build a fire pit because I don't want to freeze. I built quite a few fire pits this game. I think it was like 2 or 3 this game, which is more than I usually build, so I actually build quite a few, which is unusual for me. I usually build 0, but I actually used them. And the reason I'm mentioning that is I'm finally learning to deal with the cold. Yeah, finally learning to deal with the cold. I'm not letting my squads freeze anymore. I type lol, I'm at pop cap, I can't reinforce. Yeah, I'm at 100 out of 100 pop cap. This is the very first time I've ever reached 100 pop cap in this game. The very first time. It doesn't happen very often, clearly. I have reached it before in Company of Heroes 1 a few times, but it also doesn't happen very often. I always ignore pop cap, so I never even realize when I reach 100 pop cap. It's pretty funny when I do. But anyways, victory for the Soviet Union, and I was so close to ranking up. 176, 300, what is that? 300 minus 176, 24, 124 experience away from ranking up. That's pretty funny. So anyways, game's over. I won. I turtled him to death, and that is quite true what I typed there. Obviously, I agree with myself. I did turtle him to death. Because in the early game, I won the map control war, but then took back basically the entire map away from me until my T-34 came out, and this was a good example of how you can still rush to a tank, even a T-70 or T-34, without map control. You can afford to have that lull where you cannot really attack your enemy, and you can still do the rush, and you can still win because of it. But, yeah, I lost map control at that point, and then from that point on, I turtled up to him, and I defeated him that way. So, yeah. He and I start talking about various stuff, things he could have done better. The tournament that's coming up, he called it a longer tournament, but it's actually not. It is the whatchamacallit. Oh, what's it called? What's the map called? Simosiki. Yeah, the new remake of Simois from Company of Heroes 1. So, I will be in that tournament if I sign up tomorrow and it's not already full, and there's not a huge waiting list, which in all likelihood there won't be, because they're going to do 128 slots, so it should be fine. Yeah, you can expect to see me in that tournament. I will live stream it if I'm in it. This is totally unrelated to this game, and I know most of you are not going to be listening to this because most of you stop watching as soon as that victory thing comes up because you don't care about the rest of the video, and I understand I'm the same way when I watch Company of Heroes videos. But for those of you who are listening, you get to hear it first. I'm going to be in that tournament, and if I obviously get in, and so you can expect me to live stream that. As for this game, that is going to do it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys. It's a little bit too late. I now have a broom bar, and there goes an entire squad of conscripts, it looks like. Wow. Yeah, the broom bar is very, very powerful.